Well, good Saturday afternoon. Ladies, how are you doing? Good to see Janica, Lady G in the house. How's everybody? I hope everybody is well. I'm doing good. I was just sitting here waiting to come talk to y'all. But y'all know this is Tales from the Funeral Home. So come on in, make yourself comfortable, get your drinks, get your snacks. We might be here for a little bit. Yeah, the intro, I don't even know where I want to say I found that music over in the YouTube Music Library. I think that's where I found it at. It's been sitting in here for a while. But now I'm thinking this is just appropriate. I can use it now. 7 inches of snow. I've got sunny weather and about 55 degrees out there. This is not typical winter weather for me. I'm still saying I'm going to get hit before the month's over. I'm thinking I will see snow before January ends, and that's how it happened last year too. It waited till about the beginning of the last week in January and just dumped on me. So I'll probably be the same pattern this year. So yeah, 7 inches of snow. I could live with that. 7 inches ain't too bad. It was about 40, but no snow. Well, she just had cold weather and no snow. You'll get some, Lady G. Just stick around. So what are we gonna do in here today? Well, I got some stories to tell y'all. I always got a story. That's just it. More possible tonight. Well, maybe you'll get some. Well, I don't know if Janica wants any more though. 7 inches of snow, that's a pretty good amount. Now, I think a lot of the northern states are getting some snow up around where Janica is up in there. I love it as long as I don't have to get out in it. That's me, Lady G. I'm like, let it dump on me. Just let it come a foot of snow out there. I don't care as long as I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do nothing. I will sit inside and just watch it snow and just enjoy the moment. Don't bother me a bit. Yeah, Janica, she don't care. There's Sport. What's going on, Sport? Good to see you. Come on in. Come on in. Yeah, nothing will ever compare, though, to the first winter I was in Oregon when I got hit with that blizzard. I'm like, I didn't know what to do. If it's going to be cold, might as well snow. Yeah, might as well, Lady G. If it's going to be cold weather, you might as well get some snow out of it. But yeah, when I got caught in that blizzard, the first winter I was in Oregon, I was freaking out because I had never seen anything like that before, ever. And when your snow drifts are even with the deck on the back of your house, you know you got some snow. Poor dogs. I had to get out there and shovel snow off the back deck and the steps so they could even go out. Well, I only had Mr. Fluffy then, but before he could even go outside, he'd be looking at me like, Mom, go do something with all that snow. So I went out and had to shovel that snow off that deck and off the steps and then shovel him a path so he could go to the bathroom. I would love to go snow tubing. Would I go snow tubing? I might. I've never done it, but it sure looks fun. It sure looks fun. A couple of feet. Hey, no, the deck on the back of my house is probably, if I was guessing, it's about 5 foot off the ground, and the snow drift was even with that back deck. I'd never seen anything like it. It freaked me out. High wind, whiteout snow. I mean, it was wild, and I just sat there. I was stuck in my house for 28 days. Couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't even get out of my driveway if I'd have wanted to. Good thing I had a good generator and was able to keep all my food from going bad, or I would have been in a mess. I used to be an avid skier. Well, I've never skied either. I don't know. At my age, I don't know if I would even want to try it. Knowing my luck, I'd get out there and try it and break a hip. Yep, I was definitely snowbound. I mean, 'cause I was not going anywhere. I had to dig my vehicles out. Well, I only had one at the time, but I had to dig my car out. Yeah, it was crazy. I'm like, if this is what it's going to be like, I don't know if I want to be here. I was questioning my judgment at that point, Jack. Like, is it worth it? But I think where I'm at, you can't beat the spring and summer, though. I mean, because it's great weather, low humidity. I mean, it gets warm, but it's very low humidity. So you can go out and actually enjoy being outside. That's what I like. Fall ain't too bad. But the winters, yeah, the winters, they can just keep that because I don't want no part of it. And there is Sassy. What's going on, Sassy? Good to see you. Come on in here. We're here talking about the weather. I'm passing some time for a few minutes before I get started. But now that I got 5 of y'all in here, I'll tell you what's going on. I just wanted to give a little bit of time for people to get in here. Wednesday night, next Wednesday night, we are going to be at the Den. We're opening the doors back up. VIP night, 6 o'clock. If you're around, come on over and hang out. We're going to have a good time with that. And then nothing on Thursday yet. Friday, we'll be back at the Den for Den Mafia night. Saturday, we're in here. Sunday, we're over on the music channel. So make sure if you want to, set your notifications if you want to come and hang out with us. But yeah, I'm ready to get back into the Den again. It's just set way too long. And it's like I was telling everybody last week. That's where it all started. The Den, was where it all began. This channel and the music channel is just branches off of it. So yeah, we're gonna go back over there and hang out at the Den, have some fun. Like, hopefully, we can get it back like it used to be, because it used to be a lot of fun. So that's my goal, is to get it back like it used to be. We used to have some good panels, and we was always giving each other a hard time, joking around, getting some good laughs. Everybody would come there because they knew it wasn't no drama. Everybody just come in there and had a good time. And I think sometimes with all the craziness going on YouTube, that's where, you need a place like that where you can just go and kick back and not have to worry about the drama. That was the whole goal of me creating that channel. So yeah, I'm excited to get back over there and start doing lives again. So like I said, make sure you got all your notifications set and ready to go. But I'm giving y'all the heads up. Next Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, I will be at the Den. Yeah, that's how it should be, Janica. Everybody, you should be able to come on YouTube. Some people like to go listen to the drama, and I get it. Hell, I listened to it too for a long time. But every once in a while, you just need a break. You want to go somewhere and just kick back and have a good time, and have some laughs. And I'm strict, when I'm in the Den, I'm there to entertain. That's my job. to entertain you all. And if I'm not entertaining, then I'm not doing my job. I'm behind. Sassy's behind. So that's what we're doing, guys. The schedule has been set. So we're going to start it off at the den and just work our way around. Thursday, I don't know what I'm going to do Thursday. It may just stay empty. That Thursday may be empty for a little bit till I can figure out what to put in there. But as soon as I figure it out, I'll let you know. But once I put something in there, I'll be live on here 5 days a week. It's almost like having a job. Good times are coming. Well, I hope so. Because we used to have a lot of fun over there. We never knew what we was going to talk about. Everybody just show up and we'd be hanging out. But Janica, I knew somebody would say something eventually and get that friggin' chat going. And when they did, I took it and ran with it. I mean, that's because I get a lot of my content right out of my chat. So it only takes one person to say something to get the whole thing kicked off, and it always worked out good. So we're going to get back over there and do something. Oh, I heard you're going live and I got kicked out. Okay, well, let me repeat for Sassy because she's had phone issues. Wednesday night, we're going to be back at the den. That'll be the first live back over on the den. VIP night, 6 o'clock, everything other than this, when I'm here, is going to be 6 o'clock in the evening. So we're going to do VIP night Wednesday night. Thursday, I ain't got nothing in there yet. I've got to come up with something to put in there. Friday night, we're back at the den. Saturday, we're in here. Sunday, we're on the music channel. So that's kind of where we're at with the schedule right now. So I'm hoping soon I can come up with something to put on Thursday evenings. I just got to think about it a little bit more. So, yeah, oh God, I don't know if they're ready for us again, Sassy. We're going to go back to the den. It got kind of crazy over there sometimes. But damn, I had so much fun with it, though. We had such a good time, and I want to get it back to that. So we'll see who shows up Wednesday night, because that determines a lot of how that live's going to go, is who I got there. Let's see. Thursday, review the week's drama. Oh, God. Thursday. Damn, I couldn't do that in 2 hours. There's just too much crazy shit going on everywhere. I'm not following everything though, Janica. I don't really know what's going on where. I'd have to just make a circle and take some notes. I don't keep up with it. I just don't keep up with the drama. Now, we don't do no drama over at the den anyway. We don't do drama over here. Yeah, we don't do drama. We don't want it. They can keep all that mess, because I don't want it. And that's why I'm like, I'm drama free. I don't do that. Save the drama for your mama. Okay. Yeah, we don't do that. You don't have to. Whatever stands out at the moment for shits and giggles. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of mess going on YouTube. It does not matter where you go, what community you go to. There's always drama there over something. And, you think, damn, is this, settle y'all's quarrel here and let's move on. Yeah. You ain't got to drag it out for weeks, just settle it and be done with it and move on. But sometimes people don't want to do that because drama is what sells. That's what people want. I can listen to it, but not a lot of it because I'll end up getting a headache. So I hang out 15, 20 minutes, kind of find out what's happening, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to the next channel. But yeah, I mean, it does not matter where you go. It's everywhere. You can't get away from it. Now that's why I'm like, people can come to my channel and don't have to worry about it. That's that's their retreat away from it. Get the feel of the room. Yeah, that's what you kind of know when you get in there and they start talking what's happening. You don't have to be there for the whole live to figure it out. You're there the first 15, 20 minutes, you kind of know what's going on. And then you just move on to the next one. But yeah, I mean, my channels ain't never been about drama at all. I've never done drama on my channels. I've never had to stream somebody else's content to have content on my channel. It just always seemed to fall into place, and I always done good lives. Yeah, that's one thing I can say. I have never used anybody else's material on my channel. Where a lot of people can't do a lot, they can't have content unless they're restreaming somebody's content. I'm like, you gotta get out of that. Besides the trolls, yeah, the trolls. Gotta love the trolls, because everybody's gonna get trolled. It's just a matter of time. Have we had, well, yeah, I mean, I've had a little bit of trolls, but they wasn't around long, they got escorted out, but they've been in my chats before. It's just the price you pay when you're a channel creator. You're going to deal with it. It's going to happen. You just don't know when it's going to happen. As far as my channel goes, Sassy's been with me for a long time. Lady G's been with me for a long time. We've not really had any problems. Major stuff. We've never really had to deal with it. And I think a lot of that comes with me because I'm not out running around on YouTube kicking up dirt with anybody. I do my lives, I do my own thing, I stay in my own lane. I don't bother anybody, I don't talk about anybody. I just do me. And I've never talked about any other creators or anything they're doing. Because I'm like, that's you. You do you. I'm going to do me, and we'll be okay. Now, there's Chaotic. Come on in. Yeah, we never have, Sassy. Not really. We might have somebody pop in once in a great while. But even that's kind of rare. People usually just leave me alone because I'm not bothering anybody. You don't do it for the money, though. No, I don't do my lives for the money. That was not, that's not important to me. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had people, give me super stickers and super chats and, cash apps over time. And I always appreciated that because that money just went right back into the channel anyway. I didn't keep any of it. But yeah, I mean, people have donated to the channel over time. But I've never sat here and asked for it either. But either way, you don't bother no one and they still come for you. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to do anything. I mean, and they just freaking come right after you, and you're like, oh. What is the worst smell in an autopsy room? Does the body smell, and how do you deal with it? And have you ever gotten sick doing an autopsy? Well, I don't do an autopsy. I'm not a medical examiner. The medical examiners is the ones that do the autopsies. I get them after the fact. But I have took care of some people over time because they, I think the worst thing I seen, and I'll just tell y'all this story. The worst thing I think I ever seen as far as taking care of somebody was there was a guy that come up missing. He had went fishing, not in a boat, but he was just going to do some off the bank fishing, and he freaking disappeared, and they did not find that man for like a week. He had been in the water a week when they found him. Now, he was in bad shape, but when he got to me, because I cannot do nothing with that. I mean, the decomposition process had already taken a hold, and it was summertime. And it was at that time, you're looking at 102 to 104 degrees outside. Yeah, there was nothing I could do for that. Family come in and they understood the situation. And I told them, I was honest with them. I said, I cannot do anything to restore him back because of how he passed away. The decomposition process had already started. I said, I can't reverse that. But they was really understanding. They're like, well, we don't expect you to, because they knew he was in bad shape. So he ended up being cremated. And they're like, yeah, I couldn't embalm him really either. So that was kind of the only option the family had. But yeah, I mean, I took care of him. The only other thing that really bothered me was there was a guy he was about 34. I want to say he was either 34 or 35. In the middle of summer, lived in a manufactured home. No air conditioning in this manufactured home either. Well, he took his own life, and it was like a week before they found him. Now, that would be like being in an oven. And yeah, it was a bad deal too. And there wasn't nothing I could do to help him either. Family come in and met with me. I'm like, and you want to explain it to them, but you don't really want to get in, to the graphic details. They know their loved one's in bad shape, but I couldn't fix them back. And I had to tell them why. You got to really watch, because they're kind of people like that maybe maybe this was their son or their nephew, or, you got to be real careful how you talk to families, because they're already upset because the family member passed away. But when you go, I'm talking to them like I can't, do anything with your family member, and this is why. You want to explain it to them, but you got to do it kind of in a delicate way, because you don't want to traumatize them over it. So yeah, those were the two hardest ones, I think. When you wheel them in and you can't do nothing, they're just in your cooler hanging out, and you meet with the family, even though they know the circumstances, it's still hard because you want to do something, but you know you cannot because it's just a lot of it was the decomposition process cannot be reversed. And it don't matter how good you are, you cannot fix that to make it look normal. But those two families, they were really good though to work with because they already knew, so they was kind of prepared for it anyway. But after we all sat down and talked and I kind of explained to them the situation, I was like, there's nothing I can do to make them presentable. And they understood, they didn't get upset about it. I said, we can do a closed casket. I said, here's your options. We can do a closed casket service, or they could be cremated. And both of these individuals were cremated. That's what the family chose for them. But that's about all I could do. But yeah, you talking about smells, Janica? You get this? Yeah, those were bad. Did I ever get sick? No, I never got sick, but man, it was bad. That is the worst smell that anybody, out of everything I do, that's probably the worst is the smell. Because you don't forget that. Must be tough talking to families. It can be. It can be really hard because you play many roles when you're dealing with a family. You're a funeral director, you're a therapist, you're, counselor. I mean, you fit many roles when you play, when you're doing that. It's a lot of it is psychiatry. Because you got to be able, I think, to be able to talk to them because they're already upset. You don't want to upset them more than what they already are. So you got to be kind of careful with how you approach them with things. And, you got to handle them with kid gloves sometimes. It never was hard for me to to talk to a family. I just, I was very upfront and honest with them, but I think they respected my honesty too. Why don't funeral homes have bars? That is marketable, Janica. That is a marketable thing because believe me, after some funerals, people would be going to the bar inside the funeral home and having a drink. Hell, I might go over there and have a drink, but it's a hell of an idea. I think it would go over. This is marketable. We are going to build a funeral home and it's going to have a bar on one side of it. So after you have your loved one's funeral, you can go around to the other, you can go on the other side of the building and go have you a drink, and get your thoughts together. It's a hell of an idea. I like it, but I'm like, damn, how would that go over? Would people be offended by it? You don't know if people would be offended by it or not. Have a drink with the deceased, yeah? Oh, you talking about this? Have a bar. Let me tell y'all a story. This just jogged my memory of a guy that I took care of. You talking about drinking with the deceased? Let me take y'all down this friggin' story. There was a guy that he was 28 years old. And he's legal to drink. He'd been friggin' partying probably since before he ever turned 21. But he was going to work one morning and got hit in a bad car accident and died a few hours later. Well, they called me Of course, we go get him. We bring him back. I'm waiting for the family. But apparently his thing every night is he would work all day, then he'd come home, and he would always drink a couple of beers in the evening. No more than two, just two, and just kick back and relax for the rest of the evening watching TV or whatever he was doing. That was his thing. The family even told me this, and I was like, well, do what you do. They're old enough. They're legal age. And they're like, well, yeah, we couldn't say nothing because he was over 21. They said, but he started doing that when he turned 21. So I sat down with the family. We planned the visitation and viewing and the funeral. Visitation was going to be 2 days later, and the funeral was going to be the next day. So I got him all ready. He looked really nice, and put him in the viewing room because they told me, there's going to be a lot of people show up for this funeral. And I'm like, okay. So I put him in the biggest viewing room I had, which that you could have got quite a few people in there actually. So people was just coming in, visiting with the family and doing what they was doing. I was there with them. The next day, we had his funeral. And I noticed when I went to go get him, because we're going to take him over to the chapel and get him all set up over there. Just wheel him out that room, down the hall, through a door, and there you go. You're in the chapel. But I wasn't really paying attention to people because there was just people mingling around everywhere. So I was talking, mostly with the family and the pizza people or greeting people when they was coming in. Somebody had put a bottle of Wild Turkey in there with him. Somebody had put 2 cans of beer in there with him. And some other miscellaneous, pictures, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, there's the 2 beers. They made sure he had his 2 beers, but I don't know where the Wild Turkey fit into the story. I didn't care, though. I didn't move shit. I left everything just like it was. Just like it was. And I was like, well, I guess his friends wanted him to have this, so I'm just going to leave it there. It's not hurting nothing. So we take him around to the chapel, get him all set up. And I leave. I go back to my office because I get a phone call, and I'm in there, and some people come because they was going to view him up to an hour before the funeral. And somebody brought in Janica a case of Budweiser beer and sat in front of his dang casket right there in the chapel. I didn't even know what to do with that. And I'm like, I'm not moving it. Screw it. I'm just leaving it there. Was that tacky? Well, probably. But it was not illegal. I mean, and it wasn't hurting nothing. It was just sitting there in front of his casket. He liked Budweiser beer, so I guess whoever come and seen him figured they'd get him some beer. I'm not sure how it all happened, but I know a group of about 5 or 6 come in to see him. And after they left, the case of beer is sitting in front of the casket. And I'm like, I'm not going to move it. I'm just going to leave it. Is it tacky? Well, maybe. But it's all right. So we proceed to have this funeral. It was a nice funeral, though. And a lot of people, a lot of young people. And there was a bar in my hometown. I used to go to this bar because I knew the people that owned it, and I knew their son. I'd went to high school with him. So we'd all go down and have a drink every once in a while. That's where, Janica, I had my divorce party was at that bar. They had a freaking divorce party. Because I knew just about everybody that hung out there. So the day my divorce was final, we all went to the bar and had a divorce party. Best fun I had, it was a lot of fun. But anyway, back to the story. We get the funeral over. We're going to the cemetery. What did I do? I freaking, when we're taking the casket out, I had one of the guys grab the case of beer that had been left in front of the casket. And I was like, hey, it's going too. It's part of it. We're going to take it with us, you know. And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. I was like, nope, we're going to take it because somebody bought it for him. We're going to take it. So we put the casket, the casket got put in the hearse. Well, heck, we just slid that case of beer right on in there with it. It'd be all right there. It'll be get to the cemetery. This is how cool I was as a funeral director. I mean, I didn't mind people doing stuff or leaving stuff for their loved one or putting something in the casket with them. I mean, as long as it wasn't something that was highly illegal, we was good. We get to the cemetery, we freaking get the casket all set up for the graveside. All these people start showing up because they, they follow you to the cemetery. And we get there, the funeral, the little graveside service had started. Well, I set that case of beer right there in front, just like it was at the funeral home. His family, they got a kick out of that, though. And I still don't know how they managed to get it into the funeral home to begin with, but hey, it's going with us. Grab it and let's go. Family didn't care. They kind of snickered about it. They thought it was funny. They're like, yeah, that sounds like somebody he'd hang out with. So we're at the graveside service is starting. Janica, I had about 30 people standing in the back, freaking popping beer open and drinking it right there at his freaking graveside. And I'm like, now, is this taking this too far? Now, they didn't get the beer out of his case. They had their own. Yeah, they was popping freaking cans of beer open and drinking right there at his freaking graveside service. And that guy that always went with me, he steps over there by me and he's like, you going to say something to him? I said, what do you want me to say? You may go tell him, no, you need to take that over there and pour it out because you can't be doing that. I said, I'm not going to say shit to them. If they want to stand there and drink their beer, they wasn't hurting anybody or bothering anybody. Nobody said anything, and I was like, I'm not going to say nothing to them. I'm just going to let them drink their can of beer, but each of them only had one. If they'd have been packing out there an ice chest or something, yeah, we'd had to have a conversation, but each of them only had one. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they just thought, well, we'll just have one last beer with our friend, before he goes in the ground. I don't know what they was thinking. But yeah, there was about 30 of them. They all just stood there and had their one beer, and that was it. They come, and apparently the family knew them because they was going through talking to, the aunts and uncles and everybody. I'm like, well, all y'all must know each other because y'all having a lot of conversation. But yeah, I didn't ask them anything. I didn't say nothing to them. I didn't ask the family about it. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they're just thinking, we're going to have one more beer with our friend before he goes in the ground. Maybe that's what they was thinking. I'm not sure what they was thinking. Never had it happen again, Janica. That was a one-time thing. Was the drinking the beer at the graveside. Ever been to an Irish funeral? No, I have not, but I've heard they can get rowdy. Never been to an Irish funeral. Usually, the way it always went in Oklahoma was people go to the viewing and the visitation, and then they go to the funeral the next day. And usually after the graveside portion of it, they would all have like a place they would meet, whether they went back to, a family member's house or they had another place they set up to go to. And everybody would go, and have food and stand around and visit, stuff like that. I mean, that's normally what people do back where I'm from. Is they always gathered up after the graveside. They'd already have a designation, and everybody would meet up and just have food or whatever. I mean, that's kind of how it always was. Except the wakes that I did, and this is more set in the Native American community. This is what they did. Instead of having the viewing and the well, no, they still had a viewing and visitation, but the night before the funeral, I would take them out to their residence. We'd get them there about 5 o'clock, and all the family would be there. They would stay up all night with their family member. And people just come and go. They'd have food or whatever. And they'd sing, traditional songs, and people, may say a few words. But yeah, they set up with them all night. Then I'd usually go back and pick them up about 9:30 and bring them back to the chapel, or if they was going to have it at church, I'd take them wherever. But yeah, I mean, this is a common deal where I'm from. Is it possible nowadays to request some of the old Victorian traditions? Well, this is how I always seen it. As far as request goes, if it is legal, I would do it, because we can do a lot of things as funeral directors. We try our best to grant the requests by the families. I've never turned anybody down that had a specific request, because I'm like, well, this is what the family wants, and this is what's going to make them happy. Then I will work with them, and we'll make sure it's done. But I never had anybody ask me to do anything from the old Victorian traditions, though. That would have been different. But yeah, wakes, setting up with them all night before the funeral, it happens about 98% of the time. You mean you laid out in your home? Well, what we do is we take the individual in the casket, and we take the thing out there to set them up on. Yeah, they're in their home the night before the funeral. And like I said, the family members will set up all night with them. And then we go back and get them the next morning, usually between 9 and 9:30, and take them to wherever we're going to be having the funeral at. I really want to have some Victorian traditions incorporated when it's my time. Well, that does sound cool, though, Chaotic. I could see that. I think it would be neat. And a lot of it is, the funeral director, say your family would be working with at the time. But if they're any good at their job, they're going to try to fulfill the wishes of the family. Because it's the funerals, this is my theory on it. The funerals is not for the person that has passed away. The funerals are for the people that's left behind, to give them closure to it. But I mean, you take care of the person, that passed away, of course, but it's the family they leave behind. They're not there anymore. So, yeah, that was always my view on it. Funerals are not for the dead. Funerals are for the living. because they got to have that closure there. Whether that be a full-fledged, traditional funeral service or a celebration of life or a memorial service, they got to have something to get that closure to it. I think I always thought that it's more for the people left behind than the person that passed away. Because that person that passed away, they don't know what's going on. They're gone. It's for the funeral and all the things you do is for the people that's left behind. So they can have some closure, some peace of mind, say their final goodbyes. People need that when they lose a family member. I think these are just my personal views on it. Now you could get 10 of us funeral directors in the same room and ask the same questions. We may not answer it the same, though. At the same part, that closure is making sure the deceased wishes are fulfilled. Well, yeah, I mean, here's my advice to everybody, and I think I am more than qualified to give this advice to everybody. If you want specific requests done at your funeral, you need to sit down and talk to somebody. You need to tell somebody, well, I want a traditional funeral, or I want to be cremated, or whatever your requests are that you want. Let somebody know. Somebody that will be there when you're planning your service, because sometimes people don't know. And I've been in that situation too. But yeah, I think people, as far as, making sure their loved ones' wishes are fulfilled, I think that makes them feel good too, because it's like, well, this is what they wanted and we was able to do that because that was their wish. I think it makes them feel better. So yeah, I mean, making sure your final wishes are honored, that's important. So that's why I'm like, I'm not telling y'all go do a pre-arrangement or nothing like that. But tell somebody, this is what I want. And this is the part I get into because I say it's a taboo subject. Some people don't want to talk about it. Because they're like, if we don't talk about it, it's not going to happen. Death is a guarantee. We're all going to leave this world one day. And when our time comes, somebody needs to know what your wishes were. So when they go and sit down with somebody like myself, they're like, well, this is what they wanted. They told us ahead, told us way back, this is what they wanted. This is what we want to do. Nobody wants to have the conversation. Nobody does. But I think as you get older, you need to let somebody know because something could happen and nobody would know. If you're married, tell your spouse. If you ain't married, tell your kids or tell a sibling or a family member, somebody you trust that would carry those wishes out for you if they, was put in that situation. That's my advice to everybody. And like I said, nobody wants to have the conversation, but you got to have the conversation because you don't know what's going to happen down the road. And then this way, people know exactly what your wishes were and what you want done and how you want it done. So yeah, it's kind of a tricky song and dance because nobody wants to talk about it, but in reality, it's going to happen to everybody. at the end. That's a guarantee. Your soul enters another plane. The body is a shell of what it was. Yeah, that's true. I believe that. If my wishes aren't done, I'm haunting somebody. Well, chaotic, you'd be the one to do it. You would come back and haunt your family. I see what you'd be doing. You'd be like telling your husband, well, you didn't do this and I told you to. Yeah, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of your days now. I could see you doing it though. That's what I told my kids. If you don't do what I want, I'm going to come back and haunt y'all. I don't care what my kids do. And I told them that because I'm going to be cremated. I ain't going to be laid out anywhere. I was like, do something, have a get together. Everybody has some good food, share some stories, do whatever you want because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be sitting over there in that urn, like, hey, where's everybody at? Yeah, I know Chaotic would do that too. She'd haunt her family. Her poor husband, man, she'd be terrorizing him for a long time. But I've heard people say that if you don't do what I want you to do when something happens to me, I'm going to come back and haunt you. And I think these people were serious too. I'm like, they probably would. So, yeah, I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, we can laugh about this all we want, but all jokes aside, have that talk with somebody because it might be 30 years down the road before they ever had to deal with it, but at least somebody would know. Well, this is what they wanted, this is how they want it done. And it helps us out too, people like myself, to help your family if they know what their loved one wanted. It makes it easier for everybody. Because I've had families come in and they did not know what their family member wanted, and I'd have to start asking questions then because they had never planned a funeral before. I was like, well, when someone in your family passes away, do you have a certain cemetery where the family's buried at, or was they cremated? Give me something here so I can help you. Well, then they'd get to talking. Well, remember when they passed away? They're buried over here. Then the family would start talking, and usually it all worked out really good. But I'm like, oh, I don't, it ain't that I can't handle the situation. But then I start asking questions because they're like, we don't know what they wanted us to do. Did we make the right decision? Well, I would hope we did. They're like, well, all of our aunts and uncles are at this cemetery, but grandma and grandpa's over here in this cemetery, but dad's over here in this cemetery. I'll be like, well, y'all pick one, because that's where we're going. That's what I'd be telling myself in my head. Well, if it's your mother, don't you want to be with your dad? Where it is, over here in this cemetery? Well, yeah, let's just put her there. It always worked out, but it's also my place to kind of guide a family if they're unsure too. It's just like, but then you get these families that walk in there and they know what they're there to do. They're prepared when they walk in, and it just goes very smoothly because they're like, well, they wanted this, and this is what we're going to do. And yeah, they walk in prepared. And those families were very easy to work with. They ain't going to know about it anyway. Well, no. I mean, when you're gone, you're gone. You don't know what's going on. You ain't going, if you're getting buried, well, you hope they put you with your family if that's in a cemetery where all your family's at. But you ain't going to be around to to know about it anyway. You know, they could put you over here clear on the other side of the county or something, another cemetery. You ain't going to know. I've never had nobody do that, but yeah, it's crazy. Like this, I got a friend whose grandparents passed away. And well, the grandpa passed away first. They put him in this nice rural cemetery, beautiful cemetery though. Now, when the grandma's time come and they bought them a double headstone, they bought their own headstone before they even passed away and had it set. They bought, picked out their plots and everything where they wanted to be. Well, the grandmother passed away. Well, she told him she told him before she ever passed away, I don't want to be buried. I want to be cremated. Okay, well, we can get that done. And then we're going to put you out there by grandpa. She's like, no, me and my sister are going to be buried at sea together. So grandpa's at the cemetery. And grandma and her sister are out floating around in the Pacific somewhere. No telling where they're at. But yeah. So we got grandpa and an empty plot on the other side. Some of the old gravestones are cool. Yeah, this cemetery, and I know where it is. I've been to it. It's up in Washington, about 2 hours away from where I'm at. Because I went up there with them one time to go. They was taking flowers up to their grandpa. And I went up there with them. And in this cemetery, there's a lot of those old historical headstones in there. You start at the front of that cemetery and you can just see the change as you move in, into the main part of it. You got those big, gigantic headstones, back in the 1800s, because they were huge back then, not like what we got now. But you could see how everything changes over time as you start walking through that cemetery. You'll go from these grand, big headstones to some modern, they just lay flat or they stand up or whatever, but there's such a difference in them. Yeah, it is. To me, it's interesting because I love to go and walk around in cemeteries. And that's one thing I notice is the different kinds of headstones and how things changed over time. The bigger the headstone you had back in the day, it was kind of like a status symbol. The bigger and fancier headstone you had showed, that maybe you come from a family that had money. Or, that's kind of how they kind of looked at it back then. You had this grand, big, gigantic headstone. Yeah, you come from a family with status in the town. There was some that they were real modest, but they were nice too. But I mean, I have seen some headstones that just blew my mind over time. Very, very big and elaborate. And yeah, the big angel figurines on top of them. There was some that had like these cups on the top of them. I mean, and all you get to think, man, how much did that cost you back then? But then I'm thinking, if you got something like that made now, you could buy a new car probably for what you'd pay for that. Because headstones are expensive. And you're talking about something that elaborate now? Yeah, you're going to be spending thousands of dollars to get that. It is crazy. Serious money back then. Oh, yeah. Because I've got a friend that lives up in Washington, and I went and spent a week with her and her kids. Well, her kids are grown, but I went up there and hung out with them, and they've got this big city cemetery. Well, actually, it's 4 cemeteries put into one. It used to be sectioned off, but then they unsectioned it and just made it one whole big cemetery. And there was some pretty rich people in that town back in the day. And they had a lot of money. And you could tell by the headstones that they had. Because these things were just, I mean, they were huge. And I'm like, them people had some money back then. But then you seen those, like I said, that was, more modest, not big. But that's how they would look at it. Well, they got a little headstone, so their family must not have a lot of money. But you look over here, at Mr. So-and-so, and he's got this enormous headstone. Well, that family have money. It's just crazy. Hey, Roland, what's going on? Get on in here. But this cemetery, Janica, that I'm talking about taking y'all to, and we'll go. I'll schedule that up and go, but it's going to have to be warm because it's going to take a while to walk through this place. It's got a lot of those old headstones like that. Because some of these people were buried there in the mid to late 1800s on. So, yeah, there's a lot of the old headstones like that. And then, of course, the modern stuff. But I'm excited about doing this trip with you, this field trip with y'all, and taking you to this cemetery. I think it's going to be cool to go there and just walk around. It'll take a while to go through it all. We'll go through the main part, and then we'll go over to where they got the green burial section. And I'll take y'all through that too. But I'm kind of looking forward to doing that. And then around here where I live, there's a lot of historical cemeteries pretty close to me too, so I wouldn't have to drive all the way into Portland. There's one actually about 5 miles from where I live. And it's got some of the old headstones. But the one I want you to see, Janica, is the one up in Washington at that cemetery I went to up there. Because those were like some fancy ones. Some of the bigger ones anyway. But we're going to do field trips. That's what I look forward to, taking y'all somewhere and showing y'all around. So I think that would just add to it. I think it ain't going to hurt nothing. And I would be live, not like this, but I'd have to go live just through YouTube. But it's okay. I'll do it. I've done it before. So it's no big deal to me. Yeah, right here where I live, there's about 5 cemeteries, pretty close to me. And some of them have some really old grave sites. And then, there's some modern ones sprinkled in there along. But yeah, I love going to cemeteries. I could spend a day just walking around looking. I like cemetery walkthroughs. Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. I'll just park wherever the gate is, and I'll just take my time and just walk around, reading all the headstones and looking at everything. And they're like, why do you do that for? I said, that's the safest place you could be, is a cemetery, because ain't nobody going to bother you out there. And they thought I was crazy. I was like, no. Look what I do for a living, people. You think that bothers me? No, it doesn't. And it's a peaceful feeling in those places, because there ain't nobody out there. Which do I like better, the city cemeteries or the more rural cemeteries? I think if I was going to be buried somewhere, at some of the cemeteries I've been to over time, I think I would rather be in a rural cemetery, kind of set out in the country somewhere. because those were some of the most peacefulest places I ever went. Yeah, it's peaceful and quiet and historical. Yeah, it is. And you can learn a lot just by reading headstones from people. You'll find out how old they are, about what era they lived in. Then you kind of take your guesses of maybe how they left this world. You can learn a lot about people. And that's me. I'll just freaking get lost out there walking around. But that cemetery, Janica, I went up to in Washington, I was telling you about. They had some old crypts up there. Now, those were cool how they were made. I'd love to take y'all there because that is a whole day of just nothing but walking. But they had some of the old crypts and stuff. Those were cool. Then they had an inside, well, in the back, they had an inside mausoleum you could go through. And then they had a section for the veterans. That was really nice how they had all that set up. Yeah, old crypts, man. That's the first time I'd ever seen a crypt. They look like little houses. There'd be like 8 or 10 family members put in there. But yeah, they were cool. And they had about 15 of them in that cemetery because I went and looked at every one of them. They had section for soldiers that died. Not our veterans, not modern, but like way back in the Confederate War and stuff. They had a whole section. Yeah, it was set up really nice. Did I learn any more about the bone collector? No, I haven't watched anything about it. I should have before I come in here, but no, I didn't watch anything on it. What have you kept up with it, Janica? The bone collector. Yeah, that's about all we can call him, the bone collector. And I just feel bad for these people. I really do. The families is what I'm feeling bad for because damn, now they got to go through the whole thing with burying their family members again. Yeah, I haven't kept up with it, Janica. We know he's in jail, and I don't think he's going to get out of jail. But I'm just wondering what was going through his mind to make him do that. This is not normal, people. We don't go out and dig up our loved ones. We don't do that. But wonder what possessed him to go and do that. That's what I'm wondering. And we may never get the answer to that question. Why did you do it for? I mean, I know he was probably selling off some parts, that was brought up last week too. But when you really sit and think about it, what made him do it? That's the answer I want. What made him go out there and dig up 100 people? I mean, he's got to have some kind of mental issues here. I mean, that's the only thing. Because normal thinking people are not going to do that. Piece the bones together, DNA testing. Yeah, it's going to be a mess when they try to figure out who these people are. And some of these people may not even have any family left. That's the bad part. I was thinking about that because some of these people that he dug up, I mean, was from way back in the day. They may not have any family left. Yeah, that's the only question I want answered. What possessed this man to go and do something like that? It's got to be a mental thing. We know it's not necrophilia. We know that's not the case. Because you know you're not in your right mind if you go and dig up 100 deceased individuals. Yeah. What's wrong with you? Why did you do that? Yeah, Jenica, that's all I want to know is why did you do it? You know, what possessed you to go and do this for? Answer that, please. I would say he was selling the skulls. Well, he could have been. We don't know why he done it. But yeah, all I can say is this guy has definitely got some deep embedded mental issues going on because we don't think like this. We would never do anything like that. You know, because when our loved ones are laid to rest, we want them to be at rest. We're not going to go out there and bother. I think he was trying to emulate it. Oh, no. Yeah, he was doing something, Janica. He was doing something. Yeah, I didn't follow up. I didn't even follow up anything on this. I was hoping somebody would because I didn't. I guess when we get done, we're gonna have to go find some videos, Janica, and get up to date with it. He hear it in a Randy Travis song picking up. So oh no. Okay. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I don't know. Something possessed him to do it. We may never have the answers to these questions. Had a lot of skulls, furniture he made from bodies he dug up. Oh God. He made furniture out of, well, yeah, I mean, I've seen pictures of this stuff. So yeah, I can believe that. Kind of reminds me of the series on Netflix with Egg story. Oh, I'm gonna have to look into this guy because I don't know who y'all are talking about. So I'm gonna have to find this man and read up on him or find something on the Netflix. Yeah, it's on Netflix. All right, I'll go check it out. The devil possessed him. Well, probably because this is so far out there. I've never heard of this happening. Never. Bows from skulls. Oh. If you're curious, I have a video on my crime channel. But okay. All right, Chaotic. I'll go check that out. That's an easy find for me. I'll go check it out and watch your video over there on your crime channel. Make sure you don't eat while you watch it, Luna. Okay, I'll make sure I'm not eating when I watch it. Not that it would bother me, but I won't eat when I watch it. It includes pics. Oh, yeah, I'll definitely go check out your video. But yeah, bowls from skulls. I mean, it's who knows. He made a skin suit trying to look like his mother. Oh, I've been debating covering the newest guy arrested and the history of it. Yeah, that somebody needs to do this, Chaotic. I think this would be right down your alley. Because in my 30-year career, I've never heard of this happen. And then when this story broke, I'm like, what the hell? 100 bodies. I haven't finished watching it because, oh boy, I was frightened by the war. Oh, yeah, I imagine so. He had a woman strung up like a deer. Oh, Jesus Christ. But this is just a terrible thing. It don't matter how you look at it, it's just terrible. Why he hung up on the door. Well, oh my God. That, yeah. Now see, that would not be necrophilia though. Necrophilia is when you actually have sex with a deceased corpse. So this would, I don't know if that, I don't think that would fall under the thing of necrophilia. It happens more than people realize, unfortunately, makes us in the oddities community look bad. Yeah, well, get this, I had somebody ask me something about this during the week. One of my daughter's friends, they think they're following the story. And I was talking to my daughter, and she was there. She had it on speakerphone, and she's like, how can people like you let stuff like this happen? I'm like, wait a minute. We don't own the cemetery, okay? We just provide the funeral. We take care of the individual, and we take them to the cemetery. We do not own the cemetery. That's under somebody else. Oh, yeah, he did have sex with a deceased people. Oh, God, yeah, this is necrophilia now. That's just, no, no, no. And what kind of, I'm not picking on the men that may be here. So, Roland, don't you think I'm singling you out because you're the only guy here? What man in their right mind would have sex with a deceased person? This is, yeah, necrophilia. That is so far out there. But it happens. It happens. But I'm like, how could a man even think this? Maybe they have a hard time getting a date. Oh, gosh. Maybe. Is this the man that had the body from the sea? Oh, God. Oh, yeah, maybe he couldn't get a date, Roland. I don't. Oh, but it just makes you think, because usually when necrophilia happens, it's always a guy that does it. You never hear of a woman doing it. It's always a man. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Why are you men? What? I'm not saying all the men, not all the men ever think about this, but there's those few sprinkled in there in the crowd that would do it. Dahmer committed necrophilia. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand it. I'm like, these men that do this have some bad issues going on. Roland said they couldn't get a date. Well, if you're having sex with dead individuals, hell no, you ain't gonna be having no dates with nobody. It's definitely a mental thing, I think. He was dating some chick in his town. She was weird too. Oh, God. I watched a story online not too long ago, actually, about these three guys. They were in their early to mid 20s. Now, there was a young girl, she was about 20, 21, that had died. What did they do? They went out there the night was they buried her that afternoon. They went to the cemetery, dug her up, took her with them, took turns having sex with her, and left her in the damn woods. I'm like, what? Netflix upped the strange factor and added a lot that didn't happen. Oh man. Yeah, I seen this story on YouTube and they was talking about it and I'm like, these guys are freaking sick. What is wrong with you? Yeah, they went to jail and they're still in jail and they'll be there for a while. The family, could you imagine the family, what they was thinking? Because she was buried out in this rural cemetery. As they lived kind of in a rural area. So when she died, they put her out in this nice cemetery. It was a nice cemetery, though. They would have never known that this girl had gotten dug up if they had not went out there the next day to do some weed eating around on the fence line. And the workers come around to the back and seen that her grave had been dug up. And of course, they're going to call the police and all that. But yeah, I'm like, you men, not all you men, but these 3 men, y'all some sick people. So when they buried her again for the second time, they put her in an unmarked grave. The advent of the internet just puts a spotlight on it. You see what happens behind someone else's fetishes. Oh, God. Janica, come on, people. Who does this? Yeah, there's some sick people out in the world rolling. I'll agree. There are definitely some sick people out there. Necrophilia, it is a thing and it does happen. And talking about necrophilia, let me tell y'all a little story here because y'all ain't even gonna believe this one. I don't want to know. I don't either, Janica. There was a funeral director that was in Oklahoma. Now, this is back, I'd probably been working maybe 5 years. I'm getting to know other funeral directors in the state because I'm going to these conferences and whatnot, conventions and stuff that we do. And I'd met this guy before, him and his wife. He was the funeral director. She was like the receptionist and kept the books and everything. So it was kind of like the family business. The son worked there. He was going to mortuary school and he was working there helping his dad. And well, of course, the dad did all the embalming because he was the only funeral director there. And said the guy started acting a little weird, like come 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever time they closed, because he was kind of like me. He'd do his work at night in the evening hours. It's like he couldn't get him out that door quick enough. And then he would just lock his funeral home down, kind of like I did. And the son kind of suspected something was going on, but he couldn't prove it. So he went and sat while his dad was out at a graveside service. The son went and set up a freaking secret camera in the embalming room. The dad did not know it was there because he concealed it so well. And this man was having sex with these female deceased bodies that was coming in there. Necrophilia, prime example. So he left that camera in there and he got like 2 or 3 different times that his dad was doing this to these women. His own son freaking busted him over that. And he went to jail. He went to prison. He's still in prison. I'm like, could you imagine? Don't you want warm with a pulse? Yeah, no doubt, Rolly. You want a living human being. You don't want somebody that's cold, can't talk to you. Yeah, I mean, who knows how many he done before that, but there was 3 different incidents that got picked up on this hidden camera that his son had planted in that embalming room, because the state law says, and this does not matter what state you're in, it's pretty nationwide. The only people that can be in an embalming room is a licensed funeral director embalmer. No one else can be in that room. That's why, and you have to keep the door locked. But when the dad was away, the son managed to get the key to the embalming room and did this, and his mom didn't even know what he had done. But he went in there and freaking set up this little hidden camera and got the angles and everything just right and left it there. So that's what this man was doing with these deceased women. Yeah. And I remember hearing about that because I got a phone call from another funeral director friend of mine, and he's like, "Did you hear the news?" And I'm like, "Well, no. What's the news?" And he was telling me about it, and I'm like, "You have got to be shitting me." He's like, "No, he is arrested and he is in jail, and this really happened." I'm like, "What?" And looking at this man, you would have never thought in a million years he would ever do anything like that. But this is what he was doing. Yeah, desecration of a corpse, abuse of a corpse. I mean, can't even remember what all they got him with, but he got some prison time out of it. His OnlyFans was dead as fuck. Yeah. Oh man, Roland. His OnlyFans. Hey, I guess there's somebody that would watch it. I wouldn't, but I'm like, what is wrong with these people, doing these things to these deceased individuals? Yeah, he was a sick man, and I had met him and his wife and knew them. And when that word of that got back to me, I thought I didn't know what the hell to think. His wife didn't even know what to think. And then they're like, but the son, him being in mortuary school, I think he was in his 2nd year of mortuary school when this happened, or 3rd year, but 2nd or 3rd. The dad's like, "Well, you're going to get in trouble too because you broke the law." They did not do nothing to that kid. They did not put one charge on him after they found out what the dad was doing. I was like, well, he doesn't need to be going to jail, because there's no telling how many women that guy had done this to over the years. Ever see the abandoned funeral home where they found deceased people? Yeah, well, I mean, I have watched some where they were abandoned, and then they find like all these cremains that never was returned to the family. I mean, I watched one, and there was like 100 cremated remains that they found, and I'm like, why didn't these cremains get back to the family? You ever they're hoarding cremated remains or something? Yeah, I've watched some of this stuff. I mean, it's crazy. These people just abandon the funeral homes and they just leave in there whatever is there. There are quite a few recently been going down the rabbit hole about it. Oh yeah. Or the one story that freaking stood out to me was the one that the funeral home was abandoned, and the houses around this funeral home they started complaining about smelling an odor. So they called the police and said, we're smelling this odor. We don't know what it is. I mean, the cop could smell it too just by being there. They kind of put two and two together. It was coming from the funeral home. When these people walked out and abandoned this funeral home, there was 4 bodies in there. And they had, decomposed, and that's what they was smelling. Was the decomposition of these individuals. But yeah, I'm thinking, damn, I don't even want to think about what that smelled like. That would have been bad. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting videos out there. His dates would have had a distinctive smell. Yeah, they would have, Roland. That's fact. I can't, I wouldn't even, God, man, I would not even want to walk in on something like that. But yeah, these people were in the cooler. Now, here's how it went down. The 4 people were in the cooler. The cooler was open, but the cooler was not getting any electric. So these bodies just decomposed in the cooler. Hey, Griswold, come on in. I mean, it's a bad thing. Some of the situations is because family never paid or claimed a body. Yeah, I mean, that's true too. They'd cremate them or whatever, and the family never paid or come to even claim them. I would hate to think my family would just abandon me at a dang funeral home. I don't know. Maybe I could hang out. Maybe I could make it work. I would hope they would claim me when the time comes. Yeah, I watched that one story about the 4 people that was left in the cooler with no electricity going to the cooler, and it just went bad. Coy gonna be in trouble. Well, he might, Roland. That's facts. I can agree. I can definitely agree with you on that. Poor Coy. But yeah, I mean, this stuff really does happen. I mean, people being, bodies being abandoned in funeral homes, uh, people finding cremains of people because their family never claimed them or never paid for their things. I mean, there's all kinds of these videos on YouTube. If you want to join me in that rabbit hole, I've been posting a lot on Discord. Oh, well, yeah. I'll take that trip with you, Chaotic. And then they find the freaking people that had the funeral home that just left them there. Well, of course, they're going to get some jail time. Families were just beside themselves because they trusted these people to take care of their loved ones. And what happened to them? They're just left. And they had planned like funerals for their family members, and the owners just jumped up and abandoned the funeral home. Randy is too. He got some voodoo in his future. Yeah, Roland. Yeah. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the cases I've been finding. Hey, I'm down with it, Chaotic, because this is the kind of stuff that interests me. I mean, probably because I've been what we say in the game forever. It's the only thing I've ever done. But yeah, if you're doing something like this over on your channel or your Discord, yeah, I'll definitely hook up with you. And these are, when stuff like this happens, it makes people like myself look bad because it's a reflection. So when you get, funeral directors, embalmers having, practicing necrophilia with the people they taken care of, or you get a funeral director that just jumps up and abandons people that they supposed to be taking care of, it makes us kind of all look bad. And I'm like, oh, I've never done that. If my electric got knocked out for some reason, electric goes out in storms and things, I had a backup generator that would kick on to keep that cooler where it should be. But these people, with these 4 people that was in their cooler, they didn't have a backup generator. They didn't have nothing. They just left the door open and walked out on these 4 people. I'm like, that is just sad. They found a dead sailor yesterday at Norfolk Shipyard. My buddy was telling me, bad boogie out here. Oh, God. Did y'all have an earthquake not too long ago? Yeah, let's see. When did that happen? A couple of days ago or so? Yeah, it was 193 miles off the coastline out in the ocean. I didn't feel anything here where I'm at. But yeah, there was an earthquake out there. I'm thinking, damn, shit's gonna keep happening, and we're gonna have that damn tsunami they keep talking. Because it's gonna mess up that fault line out there, and we're gonna get hit with this big tsunami. Yeah, it was well, what I read on it, it was 193 miles out off the coastline. It was like a 6.8. So that ain't, that's a pretty big one. Yeah, because I'm like, all y'all need to freak quit having these damn earthquakes out there in the ocean because that's what's going to trigger this. They keep talking about this big tsunami hitting us. I'm like, if that happens, I'm not going. Well, I don't know. I may be here to talk to y'all because I'm so far inland. It may not reach me because if I ever hear something coming, I'll get the warning ahead of time, and me and these animals are gone. Nice, enjoy your smoked brisket supper. Oh God, who's having brisket? Griswold's having brisket. We're all coming to your house, we're all coming to your house, Griswold. I hope you cooked enough. My Shar does lives on the Eastern Shore. She probably tipped on her own shadow. Oh my God. Well, I could say a lot, Griswold, but I won't. I could say a whole lot, but I won't. But you might be on to something. They're waking up the thing. Yeah, they're waking up something out there, Sassy, with all these freaking earthquakes going on in the ocean. Never know. They're like, somebody asked me, well, ain't you scared to go to the coast knowing this could happen? I'm like, well, hell, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. You mean you can't be scared of doing things. Come on, the booze will be flowing and the brisket be smoking. All right, we all got an invite to Griswold's for beer and brisket. I'm down with it though. I could do that. Sassy, get dressed. I'll freaking come through and pick you up. We are heading to Griswold's to have brisket and beer. Yeah, Roland, like I said, I could say a whole lot on that whole topic there. We've had 2 or 3 small ones in the last couple of months. Yeah, I mean, I've not had any here where I am. But I don't want one either because I'm too close to this freaking mountain. So I prefer it not do that. Because I'm like, that's all it would take to make that freaking, because it's a volcanic mountain. So I don't need that happening. Oh. Yeah, sassy there. Roland told you who they's talking about. And like I said, I will keep my opinions to myself. Get with me after the live's over. I'll be more than glad to give you my opinions on. Thought you were talking about something else. Oh my God. Okay. We're not here for this conversation. Y'all gonna have to hold that till Wednesday. Then we'll talk about it all you want. That's where that discussion's gonna happen. So yeah, now Chaotic's got me interested. I'm gonna have to go over there and check out her Discord channel and see what she got going on over there about these abandoned funeral homes. She is going down the rabbit hole, and there are a whole lot of them too. A lot of cases like that. But yeah, that was just a YouTube video I had watched where uh, I was talking about the 11 10. Well, that's not what they was talking about, Sassy. But yeah, I know you'd mentioned it just a minute ago. They bought, let's see, they bought 842-pound tuna off the coast of Virginia Beach the other day, which is rather shallow for them to be up in the sea. Okay. What is the biggest casket you ever had to get? All right, I can answer this story, this question here. I took care of a man that weighed in at about 520. I mean, he was a big man, but he was tall and big. You know, he was just tall and big. But I had to special order him a oversized casket because the standard casket he couldn't fit in, and they do make them. You don't see them a lot, but they do make them. I mean, I didn't have anything like that in my showroom. That's something I'd never kept in the showroom. Or caskets for infants or children. I never carried them in there either. They strictly come out of the catalog. That's what I'd sit down with the family with. And I got the call. Now, it took 6 of us, guys, and I was helping too. It took 6 of us to even move this guy. So I knew I was going to have a hell of a lot of fun freaking embalming him and dressing him because he was such a big guy. So I meet with the family. I plan the funeral. I embalm him and dress him and do all his things he needs done. I had to call the other funeral home and get them, have him let his guys come over to help us get this man in his casket because we had to pick him up and put him in there. So it was me and the three guys I had working for me. And then he sent me three of his guys over there. And man, we was struggling even with all of us. And a couple of them boys, were young, real muscular men. And they're like, "What are you trying to do? Kill us?" And I was like, "Well, we got to get him into there." And it wasn't a big distance. I said, "Well, we got to get him off this table and get him in his casket." But yeah, it took all of us to get that man moved. But the casket, it was a special order because that's really the only time you use those caskets, for someone, a large person. But that casket, I swear, if I'm sitting here in line, I'm dying. This casket had to be at least 4 foot wide. I mean, it was huge. It was just, and they made a small regular version of it, but you could also get it in what they call oversized. But yeah, that casket was big. That guy had 10 pallbearers when he died. Couple of forklifts, work smarter, not harder. Well, hey, I ain't in the game anymore, Roland. I ain't gonna be doing all this stuff anymore. Yeah, it was quite the thing to deal with because that was the first large person I had ever took care of. And I'm like, well, damn, I ain't even got nothing, in my showroom that I can even show them because I don't carry these caskets on hand. So none of my caskets I carried in hand, I had the showroom set up. And usually all it took was a phone call and they'd either have it to me that evening or the next morning. So when the family come in, I pulled out this catalog and said, we're going to have to order it out of the catalog. I said, or you're going to have to pick something you like out of the catalog and I'll have to get it. Yeah, that is a lot of weight. Just throw me over in the bay, let the fish and crabs feast. Yeah, Griswold don't care. He just wants to be in the Chesapeake Bay. But yeah, I felt so bad for those pallbearers. I mean, they had to walk a little ways with him. We got as close as we could, but yeah, they had to take some steps getting over there to the gravesite. And even the vault was oversized to fit the casket in. I mean, it's wild. I didn't take care of a lot of people like that, big people. But it did happen on occasion. Yeah, but the width of this freaking casket, Janica, is what blew my mind. It had to have been at least 4 feet. I didn't measure it. I didn't get out my tape measure and measure it. I'm just going by the visual. It had to have been at least 4 foot wide. I mean, this lid on this thing was massive. And I'm like, this is probably the biggest casket I ever freaking seen in my life. That was probably the biggest one in the oversized bracket that I had to get. And then I had another lady pass away. She was short, but she was kind of heavy set woman. I had to order her a special casket too because there's no way she could have fit just in a standard casket. So yeah, I did a lot. Have I done a lot of them? No, but I have done them in the oversized category. Let's put it that way. But when I had a heavy person come in, I knew I was going to be there for a while. So just put the copy on and get comfortable. Because they seem like to me it took longer to prep them than just a normal person. This is true. I've stayed on the bay all my life. Yeah, well, Griswold knows what he wants, so hey, you want to be scattered out in the friggin' Chesapeake Bay? You do you. A lot of people get spread at, their ashes spread at sea or wherever, like you're talking about. They take them out there and just dump them in. I mean, that's all you can do, really. Burial at sea. Now, that's an interesting topic there. Burial at sea. People do it. Everyday common people do it. The military does it. They'll either, scatter the remains at sea, or I've seen full body burial at sea with somebody. I heard that probably a lot of embalming. Yeah, it is, Griswold, and it takes longer to take care of a large individual compared to just somebody normal. You're gonna tack on at least another 2 to 3 hours on there. Because it's like, man, yeah, you got to make extra. You got to make extra embalming fluid, which that's fine because mine would hold 4 gallons. That's a lot. That was a big embalming machine I had, but yeah, it would hold 4 gallons. Nice lady, what part of the bay? Oh well, I love the been there all my life. Yeah, I mean, if you're cremated, you can get put wherever you want, really. There's lots and lots of options here. You're talking cremation, there really ain't no rules to it. I mean, you can kind of do your own thing because it's not like, okay, I've got this person and I just embalmed them. I know they're going to be good for at least 3 days. We got to hurry this up. I can't hold them any longer than this. So you got to figure it out. When you're going to do your viewing and visitation, when you're going to do the funeral, because I can't. My house rule is I would not hold anybody over 5 days. That was the house rule because embalming is only temporary. It just gives you enough time, really, for a viewing and a visitation and a funeral. It's not made for long term. I went to a funeral with a guy I went to high school with. Now, he was at the other funeral home. They held him for like a full solid 7 days. And he didn't even look right. He was already bloating some the day of his funeral. And I'm thinking, y'all held this guy way too long. Because when I had seen him about 2 months before he passed away, and he was tall and slim. A slim guy, I mean, fit, pretty athletic guy. When I went to his funeral and seen him like that, I could tell he was bloating. His stomach was bloating. And I'm like, well, he always had a flat stomach. Now he looks like he's about 5 months pregnant. I'm like, this ain't even cool because I knew what was going on. He was bloating and his hands were swelling. I'm like, yeah, y'all should have done this 2 or 3 days ago. Here you have to clear it with the Coast Guard. Now, there's places out on the Oregon coast, they will let you do a burial at sea. They got charter boats that go and do this all the time. But you have to be 12 miles out in international waters. They'll let you bury any of your family out there, but there's rules you got to go by, and these charters that do this know how far they got to go out. And then they'll, scatter the cremains at sea, and then they turn around and come back. What do you think of the bodies in wait, whoa, go back. What do you think about the bodies in the Vatican? They do believe beautification, like it's the popes, their bodies intact. Yeah, I mean, what do I think about it? I think it could happen. I mean, there's proof of this. These people, they didn't decompose. They stayed like they were. Yep, no decomposition at all. And they look just as good as the day they buried these people. I mean, do I think this could happen? Well, yeah, I think it could happen. Is it going to happen to everybody? I don't think so. My oldest daughter had cleft lip surgery at King's Daughters. I don't know what y'all talking about here. Why do some people not decompose? Well, that's a good question, Janica, because I can't answer that question. Because in the norm of things, the human body is going to decompose. That is a given. We talking about, okay. I'm like lost in the conversation here. I didn't know what y'all were talking about. But yeah, in the norm of things, Janica, the body is going to decompose. And over time, all that's going to be left is skeletal remains. These people that did not decompose, I mean, I can't come up with an answer for it. Because you got to know who I'm talking about, Janica. There was this young boy. I don't know how old he was, probably maybe in his early 20s. I'm not sure how old he was, but he did not decompose either. He looks just like he did the day they freaking had his funeral. Now, the Catholic Church, they said that they was going to make them saints because they did not decompose. I seen a picture of this kid, and he looks so dang good that you think he's just laying there sleeping. I mean, there is no decomposition on him at all. I mean, his body is in a perfect state, even after all this time. Yeah, I don't know how to answer this question because I don't have the answer to it. It's baffling to somebody like myself that knows this is not normal. This stuff don't happen. Because in our minds, we're thinking we're going to embalm these people. We're going to buy them just days, but we know we can't hold them long term because this is just temporary, just to get them through a visitation and a funeral. This is not long term. You ever see Lenin's body in Russia and the daily prep the pros do to keep him preserved? Yeah, I mean, I've seen this man before. I know who you're talking about, but why do some people's bodies not decompose after death? That is a dang good question because I don't got the answer for it. I wish I did. But yeah, the young man though, I'm just like, damn, you don't even look like you are dead. You look like you're just laying there sleeping. Yeah, that guy in Russia. Yeah, I watched a YouTube video about that guy. It's different, it's definitely different. because I've never seen it happen. Because it goes against everything that I've ever learned, as far as taking care of someone after they're deceased. It goes against everything. But it's an interesting topic. I mean, it really is. Look, Janica, you just gave me another idea for another show in here for Tales from the Funeral Home. Now, we don't have to talk about just what things that happened to me. We can talk about things that happened to other places, other countries. Because it all fits under the umbrella of what these shows are about. Me and Janica got to get together. I want her to do this thing with me about Egyptian mummification. I think that'd be an interesting topic. So me and her got to get together and figure out when we're going to do it. Now, you're talking about these bodies that don't decompose. There's a whole nother one right there. I mean, we could pick it apart. We could look at it. We could look at some pictures or whatever. It'd be interesting. He was a communist revolutionary leader after he had the romances slaughtered. Oh, wow. 12 miles off the shore of the inner coastline for burial. Fortunately, I would wind up in the bay and not in the Atlantic. Yeah, she'd get blew the other way and wouldn't ever make it out there. That's due to conditions. Yeah, I don't know, Roland. It fascinates me, because there's no physical sign of the decomposition. Yeah, someone like me, yeah, it would definitely fascinate them. Like, how's this not happening? The Romanovs, yeah, that's a good story. Due to the conditions. Well, you might be on to something, Roland. Maybe. I mean, I cannot explain it. And I've been doing this for 30 years and I still can't come up with an answer that makes sense. I saw one about the bag people, they are preserved too, or bog people. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting stories out there. But this communist revolutionary war leader that Janica brought up, I've seen pictures. I know what he looks like. And now that is kind of mind boggling there. Pete preserved him. Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have no real explanation of why it happened. Because in my mind, I think this is not, this ain't how it's supposed to be. How can you dig someone up that's been dead for 10, 15, 20 years, or maybe longer, and their whole body is just in a perfect condition? It does not make sense to me. I'm like, this does not happen. It does not happen. That's a damn good question there, Janica, because I can't answer it, and I don't know any funeral director I know that could answer. Rowan says it's because the heat preserves them. Well, you may be on to something too. There is a reasoning for this to happen. Now, whether that be, somebody just wanted their eyes open, heck, I don't know. At least someone won't. Oh, God. Well, apparently it does. Yeah, I guess so. I'm just lost on the whole damn thing because I cannot give you an explanation for it because I'm just as baffled as everybody else with these people that have been dead for years and years, and then their bodies be in perfect condition. I mean, it goes, like I said, it goes against everything I was ever freaking taught. I can't make sense of it, and I don't know any other funeral director that could give you an explanation. I want to go out like Mr. Jones. Oh, Lord, you sure you want to go out like Mr. Jones, Roland? You might want to rethink that. Because Mr. Jones, he wasn't he wasn't doing his activities when he died. That low income. Oh, God. Yeah, you might want to rethink that, Roland. Ship my glitter ashes to Lady G. Okay, you want some glitter put in your ashes? Well, we could do that. I could do that. I'll go get you some pretty glitter and put in there with you. Just let me know what color you want. Lady G, we'll have to meet up, halfway so I can hand Sassy off to you. Because apparently you're going to spread her ashes somewhere. I don't know where she going, but I will do this for you. Sassy remembers I have access to a crematory. I will take you and cremate you. I can do it. Let's hope not anyway soon. Yeah, let's don't wish that on anybody. What, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, we'll have this discussion again? Hell, I might not even be alive, or I'd be too old to freaking do it by that point. You got to remember how old I'm going to be. I'm getting ready to be 55 here before long. I don't think I'm going to be embalming somebody or taking care of somebody when I'm in my freaking 80s. I'm going with Lady G. All right, well, y'all go together. You probably have a good time. So I got orders. Y'all have heard it here first. If something happens to Sassy, I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to put some pretty glitter in there, mix it up real good with her cremains, and hand her off to Lady G. They got a plan here. They have got a plan. I'm like, hey, I like it. Do whatever you want to do. If I can help you with the process, then hey. Well, Luna, I'm older than you. I'll have to put in my will. Yeah. Well, yeah, put it in your will. Whatever. Well, I don't know, Sassy. She wants to go with you, so we'd have to figure out how this was going to work, but we can figure it out. We'll make it happen somehow. I just, go get her and I guess take her to Oklahoma and cremate her there and mix her up with some glitter, and maybe you'll still be around. I'll be calling you saying, hey, meet me here because I'm getting ready to hand her off to you. By George, we could make this happen, though. That's just the thing. It wouldn't be illegal either. Because I can cremate her in Oklahoma. It don't matter at that point. You can get cremated. You're going to get cremated. Yeah, I can take you to Oklahoma and cremate you there and just take you to Lady G. Drone drops. Yeah, we could hook you up on a drone and fly you over there to where Lady G is. I'll be like, it'll be over by your house at what about noon? Be outside because we're gonna drop her. You gotta catch her. You got a choice of the country or a horse farm. Oh, Griswold, like old boy once said, don't make no fuss over me. Just change my underwear before you bury me. Oh God. I don't know, where I will end up if something happens to me. Who the hell knows where my ashes will end up? Yeah, that's just the thing. I might be in Oregon. I might be on the east side of the country. I might be in Oklahoma. I don't know where I'm going to be at the end. I could be anywhere. Well, just split me up, put some here, put some there. I don't care. I'm scared of heights, but I won't feel. Yeah, you won't feel nothing, Sassy. It'll be completely painless. You won't even know what's happening. I'm definitely not going with you then. Yeah, she don't want in no horse farm. I don't know what she wants then. We could you have to figure out where you're gonna take her. If you're gonna freaking spread her ashes somewhere, you gotta find out where she wants to go. Yeah, I think at that point, if something was to happen, years down the road, it ain't gonna matter to me where I'm at. I might be scattered at numerous places before it's all said and done. Never know. I may have to do some revising on my own stuff, telling the kids, well, here's the money to go do it. Just put me here, put me here, and put me here. I'll make it work. So I don't know what everybody's plans is after we get out of here because, wait a minute, somewhere between here and Luna's, you'll just have to let me know somewhere between, yeah, somewhere. It'll be somewhere. Lady G, it'll be somewhere. That's facts. Because I'd be in Oklahoma and I know where you're at. So it'd have to be between where I am and where you are. She might want to go to the ocean, though. She might want to go to the beach or somewhere. That's just a road trip in the making there, Lady G. I'd be like, well, she wanted to go to the beach. Let's take her to the beach. We're going on a road trip. Wouldn't that be a hell of a road trip, though? We are going to go and spread our friends' cremains. That's a hell of a damn story there. That just makes for a good road trip. Hell, I got his freaking help Roland get squared away because he wants to be he said he wanted to be put in a crypt. And after this freaking guy went out and freaking dug up all these people and broke into these crypts, no, that's not a good idea. We got to find you a mausoleum, preferably inside where nobody can get to you. I don't think I'd be burying anybody I know after hearing this freaking crazy mess with this guy. And I'd be like, no, you ain't getting put in the ground. We're going to put you over inside that building in that mausoleum. Then I know you're okay. Ain't nobody going to get in there and get you if you're in there. Because they lock that shit up every night. You ain't getting in there. Oh, man. It's crazy, some of the things we freaking talk about in here on these Saturdays. We can say we can say Sassy was beautiful soul and she glistened in the sun, sparkled in. All right, guys. I'm gonna get out of here. get me some food because I need to eat something. But what's next? This is Saturday. Tomorrow night, over on the music channel, is where I will be, 6 o'clock. If you're around, swing on through, hang out. I don't know what I'll be playing tomorrow night. You just have to show up to find out, I guess. 'Cause I ain't set no theme to it, really. Well, we always said that was Sunday night slow jams, though. So I'll have to pull out something out of the hat. But guys, it's been fun. It's definitely been fun. Next Saturday, we'll get together and do it all again. We'll come up with something to talk about, but I'm going to have to get with Janica, though, because I want to do this Egyptian mummification. I think that would be cooler than hell to do. But me and her will figure that out and let y'all know. Everyone hit the like on your way out. Have a good weekend. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button. It's free, y'all. But everyone, have a good and blessed night. I will see you all tomorrow evening if you come over to the music channel and hang out. But until then, y'all take care. Love y'all. And I will talk to y'all later. Good night, everybody.